It's starting already? Okay, cool. Test. Okay. I don't want to take my... There's going to be a kind of janky tech demo because you can't actually do this with a mask on, as you can imagine. So it will not be the full demo because if I have to leave my mask on, it's not going to work. But I will do what I can do. I was, I thought to myself originally, I'll start with it up on the wall, and then I thought, oh, I have to wear a face mask. So it's not going to record my mouth movements, which is kind of the whole point of the thing. But it's all right. It's all good. How are y'all doing tonight? This is a good crowd. Welcome to MAGFest. I had at least one person say first time MAGFest. First time MAGFest? Wow, a whole bunch of y'all. Welcome. This is one of my favorite cons. Yeah, congratulations to you guys. Thank you for making it out. It's cold. It's a little scary. There's a whole panorama going on right now. Have you guys heard about this? The pancetta. Okay. Yeah. But you guys braved it, and it's awesome. That's really cool of you. And welcome to MAGFest. It is a really fun con. It's one of my favorites. It's local for me. I am out of Philadelphia, so it's about 2.5 hours and change drive. We'll let people filter in. I'm kind of bantering a little bit, because it's not. We'll take a moment of time. So I'm going to start preface by saying that I will do my whole bio early in this, get out of the way. I am a seasoned public speaker, but there is the whole global pandemic thing going on, and I have lost some of those skills over time because, you don't see people very much. And now all of my public speaking is behind the face of a bunny on the screen, so it's not me anymore. So if I seem a little awkward or at any point, it's because I forgot how to talk. I didn't really forget how to talk. I talk a lot. I do 8-hour streams at this point, but but not that's not a regular thing. But Endwalker just came out, so then right. Okay, I see a lot of nodding. Okay, right. So it became a thing for like a week. I had some time on my hands where I needed to do that. So hi. First of all, I'm Amanda, but I go by Lita online, so either thing you call me, I'll probably answer to it. It's fine. Long story where the nickname came up. That's my Twitch. I'll show it to you again later. This on the other side is one of my banners. Does anybody recognize this picture? You'd be an ace if you did. Well, yeah. There's like a Samus in the middle, right? There's Lara Croft, and then there's a Chun-Li in there somewhere. This is a Gearbox Studios. Yeah, They have a big wall of pixels in their studio. Yeah, Lara Croft on the bottom. Yeah, it's a really cool. It's a really cool wall mural they have over at Gearbox, and I got a link on the left there. Got a chance to check that out. A lot of people don't realize that's an actual photograph of an actual thing. That's a wall. So I like to show that off. It's cool. So who's this? Hi. Who's this? My name's Amanda. I go by Lita. Like I said, in real life, I am a computer science professor. Yeah, I teach C++ and 3D game development and C# and that kind of jazz. Ethics in software development, which is a really fun class if y'all ever want to learn any kind of thing like that. And prior to that, I worked at Microsoft for about 5 years as a tech evangelist, which is a weird title. But then they stopped having tech evangelists, and I was good at that job, and I wasn't good at the job they put me on, so I went back to teaching. And prior to that, I taught game design. I've also worked at a couple of game companies. I worked at Shell Games, which they did I Expect You to Die, if you've ever played that in VR. They do a lot of VR stuff. I was like part of early testing for I Expect You to Die, but I worked on a canceled project, which that happens in the game industry. So I have worked on more canceled games than shipped games, which is just how it goes. You may not recognize the image on the left. If you do, don't worry, I'll explain it to you. But I guess at one point this video online went viral of a teacher using the most bare bones VTuber setup to teach her own coding class. And I've never gotten around to using the VTube Studio setup to teach my coding class, although that would be kind of funny if I had the opportunity. Right now, I am teaching in a full classroom, so I'm actually coming to the classroom physically and not doing the online teaching thing. But last year, I was doing the online teaching thing, and I wasn't like fully set up with VTubing yet. So that's who I am in Meat Space. Online, I use this little avatar here. She's very like 80s cartoon inspired because that's kind of just where my aesthetic lands in real world. But I also have like a ton of other avatars, and I will kind of show the various ones that I use because I like to draw cosplays for my avatar. And I think because I do all my own art and all my own work, and up front here with Captain Krabs, by the way, who is also another VTuber who does all his own art and also is doing a VTubing panel. We semi-coordinated, but not totally. So we have some overlap in some of our stuff, but yeah. But he also does all his own art. So if you have his panel tomorrow and Saturday, like 4 panels. He's a guest. I'm just here on panel. I used to be part of the Mages panel. If you guys used to come to MAGFest, they used to have this thing called Mages, which was like the educators, technology educators. And so I gave a lot of talks over like tech, academia, game design, game development. Last year we did one on commercial branding that was like social media branding and all kinds of stuff like that. So I do art. Sometimes I sing if I get a motivation to do it. And I will show some clips from my stream in a minute just so you can get a feel for what my stream is like. But I will not make this all about me. I kind of want to make it about you and how you can learn how to do what I'm doing, because that's what we're kind of all here for. We want to learn from each other. Is anybody out there already live streaming? A lot of you. Is anybody out there who is live streaming already VTubing? So one, of course, yes. You're VTubing. That's awesome. So if you're here, you may already be a live streamer and you're interested in learning about the transition from live streaming to VTube live streaming, how that's been for me, how that could go for you, what are some of the advantages of doing that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. My stream is not super family friendly. I sometimes leave the family friendly thing turned on if I'm going to play a nice game. The problem is that I make jokes and I don't always make kid okay jokes. So I sometimes just like leave that adult thing checked so that I can be rude on stream and not worry about if I accidentally said a swear word. And I also speedrun. And if you've ever tried to speedrun, you're gonna cuss. Yeah. My best speed video is actually a very bad video. I put it on YouTube anyway. I'm like, this is a great run. Wow, this is not a fun video to watch. I'm so angry, and yet I get a really good time. So it's like, all right. So let's talk about what we're here to talk about, which is VTubing. What is VTubing? VTubing is when anime girls live stream. Yeah. Okay, so that's an oversimplification. That is a huge oversimplification. This is VShojo. They're an English-based live stream team on mostly Twitch. They sometimes stream on other platforms. YouTube and the other platform that Melody streams on. We won't talk about that so much here, but it's a thing. They're really funny. They're a little crass. We've got at least one Neanners in the room, so she's a really fun streamer to watch. Iron Mouse is a really fun streamer to watch. They are on Twitch, and they're mostly anime girls. That's the aesthetic. I started watching VTubers when I started watching these anime girls from this thing called Hololive. Most of them were in Japan, and people sending me clips of like, hey, there's this really funny like dog girl that does hilarious Mario streams, and you should check her stream out. Yeah, right. And then people just, everybody's like, this is really hilarious. You gotta watch Krone, you gotta watch this, you gotta watch that. And I sort of fell down what they call the rabbit hole. And began watching, people would send me these videos with no context, and I'm like, who is this anime girl, and why is she such a bad cook? Because I ended up watching Hachima for a little while. And then they had the English debut last year with Hololive, and the first like debut that came out was Kiara. And I watched her debut, and it was more Calliope and then Kiara. and we watched their debut, and it was really fun. And I was like, okay, this is a really cool thing to do. And at that point, I had been streaming on Twitch for about 4 years, because I'm a DM. I run Dungeons and Dragons. And a friend of mine we wanted to expand and do other stuff. And so I want to join your stream team. And my role is I'm going to DM the Dungeons and Dragons game. And I did that for 3 years, and it was super fun. I got to go to WotC, and we got to go to PAX, and we put on a good show. And then the pandemic hit. We were streaming from my friend's basement, all in person. But when the pandemic hit, that didn't seem like a viable choice anymore, especially since we were kind of all getting up and traveling, blah, blah. And here I had this Twitch account, and I was streaming. I streamed games on the account. But I thought to myself, maybe it would be cool to change the format up and try this VTuber thing. Now, not all VTubers are anime girls. This is Code Miko. When I said to some people, hey, I'm thinking of trying VTubing, the first thing they said to me was, like Code Miko? And I said, wait, like who? Because I had only watched the anime girls. But Code Miko, super, super interesting streamer. She has a whole setup where sometimes she shows her actual body. She's got a full, 3D rig, and she's all wired into the system, and she does these Space Ghost Coast to Coast style interviews with people where she's really rude and makes jokes and interrupts them. And her avatar, this gives her this little bit of separation where she can kind of be a cartoon and not a real person, and get away with stuff that maybe a real person you'd be kind of pissed off. But because it's a cartoon, she's a little bit removed, she's a little uncanny. You're just okay, I get it. And plus she changes her shirt texture live on the stream, and then does other stuff you can interact with the avatar, you can push a button and have her, there's some crass stuff that she does on the stream, I'll put it that way. But it's a funny stream to watch. And there's a couple of live streamers that aren't human. The one on the left is Admiral Baru. It's not the girl, it's the panda. More recent one, I'm forgetting, I'm blanking on their name. It's the cat is the live streamer, and then the little girl just kind of holds the cat on their shoulder. So, and sometimes there's men. Sometimes. There's a lot more women than men, and I will go into my personal theories as to why. This is Luxium. This is the VTuber debut from Niji Sanji EN that just happened. They are a lot of fun. They're all dudes. And they're one of the first English-speaking all-dude groups. They're not the only dudes VTubing by any stretch of the imagination. There's just one example. But they're a lot of fun to watch. So, and I know that there's going to be people out there who have a lot of favorites and a lot of opinions on what their favorite VTubers are. There's people who are, there's a whole wide variety. And just like any other live stream, a lot of gamers, there's a lot of singing, there's a lot of cooking and arts and crafts and drawing. So many artists that do VTubing. And it's just like any live stream, and plenty of just chatting type streamers, right? They just start up a stream and chat with the viewers, make friends. And it gives you a different kind of experience from a regular live streamer. It gives you a little bit of a distant experience, which I'll talk about, the pros and cons to that. But it also gives you you kind of make friends with a person who's sort of a cartoon and sort of a real person at the same time. So there's a little bit of distance, but there's also that sense of appeal and friendship with that kind of avatar. So I'm going to talk a little bit about software because I come from a software engineering background. I'm going to talk about what people use. There's a ton of things out there. I know Krebs has more resources as well. What I have seen people use, people in my circle use, and when I started getting into VTubing, what I looked into, Live2D is the big one, which I'm going to do a demo of Live2D here because I've got it on my laptop and I can showcase how I do a rigging setup real quick and kind of how things work and how you layer. Photoshop, Clip Studio, if you're a Clip Studio person. There's also GIMP, which is the free Photoshop. I do use Photoshop myself, but GIMP is a free version. VRoid Studio, which is what people use to actually create a character. And you can use Blender, 3ds Max, or Maya if you're a 3D modeler or 3D creator. My original background is in 3D animation, so I do know how to do the 3D. I personally just find the 2D avatars super appealing. I just think they're a lot of fun. They're really cute. And they are maybe a little easier to get up and running unless you have like a full like VR tracking setup. The VRoid Studio ones are really fast to get up and running 3D if you are like quick and you just want to make something really fast in 3D and you don't have like a lot of 3D skills. That's a program that lets you do it really fast. They basically just make like a 3D anime character. Quick and simple. In terms of mocap, there's a lot of other things out there. Face Rig is what I got started on. And Face Rig works pretty well for your 3D models. If you have like a 3D model, you toss it in, you get it running, it's pretty quick. It comes with a few like default 3D models, including some furry ones, if that's your thing. And no judgment. Be yourself. That's the whole point of this. Like, do whatever you want to do, man. There's tons of furries. There's tons of humans in Face Rig. I don't think the humans in Face Rig are super appealing. They look kind of creepy and glassy-eyed to me. But there's the animes is their updated version, and you can use Live 2D with animes and Face Rig. You can use Live 2D with VTube Studio. VTube Studio is what I use right now. VTube Studio, I think, has the best setup for 2D as an open source project, and it also has a lot of fun like plugins and stuff that you can use to have chat interaction. You can recolor your avatar on the fly. You can add props to your avatar. Honestly, like when I look at what's going on with HoloLive, they have a proprietary thing that they use, but like VTube Studio feels like it does more than their proprietary thing does, like out of the box, because they can't like. In VTube Studio, I'll show you, it's really easy. You couldn't do this at first, but now you can like put hats on your character and they'll stick on your head and everything. It's so simple. Whereas like some things, they just kind of have to put an overlay over themselves and they can't really move a lot. So it's just a different like space. I'm not good at audio, so I'm not going to talk very much about audio. But some people do use voice mod if they want to make changes to their voice. I have a plugin that I use in OBS that does like echo and stuff for like Cathedral. So if I want to do like a karaoke stream, I have like an echo plugin that I use. But it's not as complicated as voice mod, because voice mod like does all kinds of stuff, changes your voice to high pitch, low pitch, whatever. I live stream with OBS. I did use XSplit very early on. I like OBS a little better. It's a little more flexible. It's also free. It updates very frequently. And it only crashes sometimes. Yeah, I mean, everybody who's live streamer knows it crashes sometimes. Yeah, but that's life. All software crashes sometimes, so you go with it. PRPR Live, that's another one that a lot of VTubers use to rig their character or make their character move. It just depends on what your personal preferences are. And VTube Studio is free, but it's like $30 if you want all the features, which still ain't bad. And Live 2D, there's a free version as well, which is what I have installed here. There is a Prestige Full Pro version, which I ended up getting. But because I'm a teacher, I get an educator's discount. And if you're a student, buy it while you're still a student so you get your student discount. In fact, buy all your software while you're still a student because you need that student discount. If you want to get into 3D, and as a 3D artist, I know the pain, 3ds Max is free for students and teachers. It's one of the reasons I love still teaching. Once you become a not student or teacher, it's $3,000. And Maya is like $5,000. They are free if you are a student. Overall. Like you still have to pay to get the updates as well. Now, I was lucky that I bought ZBrush when it came right out of the gate, like a full perpetual license for maybe $80. And that was a lifetime perpetual because it's way more expensive now. But I bought it early on, and they honor lifetime with ZBrush, which is another 3D package. But Maya and 3ds Max, super expensive unless you're a student or a teacher. Then they're free. You do have to renew it every year and prove you're still a student or teacher. So get it while you can get it while the getting's good. Or teach a class, or take a class. It's still cheaper than buying the software. Hardware, a computer. I have one of those. I use a big old desktop, and I do everything on the desktop. But an iPad is good for like a second capture device. Or you can do a double computer setup. You can have capture on one computer and your rig on and your game and rig and stuff on the other. That works too. I use a webcam for everything. You can use a VR headset and controllers to VTube. And people who have full body tracking and go into 3D, they've got the controllers, they've got the full VR. It's the same kind of setup you would use for like a VR chat. Leap motion is what's commonly used for hand tracking. Leap motion is a hand tracking device that you use and when I first got into developing for these kind of devices, there wasn't a lot of stuff being made for leap motion, and then it kind of developed this niche of like, oh yeah, VTubers use that for hand tracking. There's finally like a purpose to have a leap motion. VTube Studio now does hand tracking with the webcam. It's not super, super great, but it's like still pretty cool, especially the fact that like it works and you can check your hands with the webcam, which is neat. But if you want like more robust hand tracking, there's other devices out there that you can get. Capture card if you're going to stream from console. I stream from my Switch a lot, so I do have a capture card. We use a Magewell. We recommend the Magewell in my stream team. My stream team does a lot of stream tech stuff, so if you have stream tech questions about particular streaming setups, there's a community you can join for that. It's my Philly-based team. We'll talk about communities a little bit later in my later slides, but that's some of the setup that I do. Now, this is not by no means comprehensive. There used to be this thing called Mixer, but then Microsoft bought them, and then they bought Ninja, and then they closed it. I worked at Microsoft when they made these weird choices, but so let's just pretend that didn't happen. These are the two big streaming platforms right now. There's others, but these are your two big ones. I stream on Twitch. A lot of English-speaking streamers stream on Twitch. It's not an English-only audience by any means, but I feel like it's a lot of English speakers. Like VShojo, they're the big English-speaking group. They're on Twitch. Easy setup. It is designed for gaming. It is designed for streaming. It, out of the box, does what you need for it to do to stream games. It is not hard to find good community on Twitch. I think personally, if you want to connect with people and meet with people and talk to people, I found a lot of good community on Twitch. Chat interaction is great. And like getting monetized wasn't a huge hurdle, I didn't think. Bad thing about Twitch is that it is a terrible platform to be discovered. To the point where most people who want to have like big streams basically have to do all of their push and discoverability on other platforms and then drive people to their Twitch stream as like a place of last resort. Like you kind of don't want to build your whole brand on Twitch because it's really hard for people to find you. They're not going to stumble on you. You have to do a lot of other working to like make that work. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to get famous because I'm not famous. And that's not been, something I'm good at. But I will tell you, like, this is what I've discovered from streaming on these platforms. YouTube, another big one. One thing that's really nice about YouTube is that it stores your VODs automatically. And most of, like, the big international streamers are using YouTube. It keeps your VOD automatically already. So if people want to see, like, a backlog of your content, it's all right there. And your backlog is going to surface to people. It's going to show up on people's timelines. They're going to be able to click on it, even if you aren't streaming live right now, in theory. Of course, it's still very hard to get discovered. It's still very hard to get noticed. You still have to do a lot of push to get famous or to get a lot of viewers in general. Personally, I don't mind streaming to a very small audience on Twitch, but I feel if I'm streaming to like 2 people on YouTube, it feels weird. Something feels weird about that. It doesn't have the same like community feeling. It doesn't feel as close to me. I think it's also partially because the chat interaction on YouTube is not as good. Twitch's chat is pretty fast and pretty interactive, and they all have like emotes and stuff they can spam at you, and it just kind of feels like you're having a good conversation, even if you only have like 5 viewers. In YouTube, you're not going to get that same level of interaction unless you're like already kind of big. There's also, I'm not monetized on YouTube. I basically just use it to upload VODs. But I do think that like making money on YouTube is really tricky because they can just like, oops, you're not monetized anymore. And you kind of don't know why. And it happens to even like big name people. They'll just like take their videos down and their process is very mysterious. Whereas with Twitch, their DMCA process is a little scary because you only get 3 strikes on Twitch for DMCA. But with YouTube, you have a lot more chances with DMCA, but they'll also like flag you way faster than Twitch will. The only time I ever got flagged on Twitch, and this is so stupid, was for playing DuckTales. Yeah, did you know DuckTales? Disney will flag you for the video game DuckTales. Because it has the Moon song in it. And that's their song now. I did not know that. Right. It's a weird feedback loop where it was in the game, and then it ended up on the cartoon, and now they'll flag you for playing DuckTales on a Twitch stream. It was the only time I ever got flagged on Twitch. It was really weird. But anyway, what a tangent. On YouTube, you get flagged, and they'll take your VODs down, and you'll be like, I have no idea what happened, and you can't get in touch with anybody, and it's a pain in the ass. I've had videos taken down on YouTube, and I've just been like, I'm not going to fight this. I don't have the time or energy to figure out what went wrong. So, this is what I do. I'm on Twitch. I use Live2D. I use Photoshop. I use VTube Studio. I use my webcam, and I use OPS. This is a very cheap setup. If you don't have a lot of cashola to throw around, the only thing expensive on here is Photoshop. You could use GIMP instead, and you'd basically be doing VTubing for mostly free. The only thing that's going to be expensive on here is your webcam. You can get Live2D for free. Photoshop is the only thing you got to spend money on. If you don't have an Adobe license, get GIMP. VTube Studio is free. There's a plugin. It's like $30 if you want to take the watermark off. Earlier on this slide, she's using the free version. This is the watermark in the bottom corner here. The little girl on the bottom. That's the watermark. I was streaming with the watermark for a super long time, and then I thought, you know what? I've been doing this for like 300 hours. Maybe I should go ahead and pay the guy his money, huh? I made a joke out of it for a little while that I still had the watermark, but I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be a cheapskate. I can toss the guy $30. Especially since it's the developers like really easy to get in touch with, and there's just a cool there's a lot of back and forth with VTube Studio. It's just a cool project. If you have done live streaming before, you know what's hard about live streaming. You have to talk, even if nobody is watching, because somebody might be watching, and if they tune in and see nothing interesting happening, they are not going to tune in for very long. So you must keep your mouth running at all times. Coming up with cool stream content can be hard. For the last week, I was playing Endwalker. People wanted to see me play it. I played it. Now I'm done. And I also know that from terms of what is going to grow my stream, playing that game, it probably won't, because there's a lot of saturation with Final Fantasy right now. People play it. So I have to think to myself, if I want to grow my community, if I want to keep growing my stream, what do people come to me for? What do they want to see me do? And what of that set of things can I use to reach out to more people and become, just keep the ball rolling, keep the energy up. Collaboration, creating a community. You don't want to be on your own. I'm fortunate enough to have a good stream team. They're really fun. We do collabs. We do like a New Year's Eve collab. But I'm continuing to reach out and do more collabs with more people. Because collabs in general are really going to boost you, boost your friends. Everybody, it's like a rising tide that lifts all boats. Make friends, meet new people. And there's days when you won't have the energy, but it's really good to try to keep a set schedule as a streamer if you can and be consistent. Some weeks I can't stream. Some weeks I'm sick. Some weeks I have to work my day job and don't have the time, or I don't have a stream idea or something like that. But sometimes you just have to push. Sometimes you have to go live and say, hey guys, I'm going to just stream for a couple hours because I just want to make you know that I'm still here and I'm still getting in touch with my people. And on top of that, Photoshop crashes for me a lot. a lot. Tech setup can be more involved with VTubing. There's that extra hurdle of not only am I streaming a game, but I'm also streaming this tech setup that is like my puppet, and I get a lot of crashes. There's some games that don't like the VTube setup. There's times when I punt on it and say I can't stream this game because there's like incompatibility between VTubing and the game or whatever. It's very hard to make your own VTuber. and make it look good. I did it on my own because I'm an artist and a sucker. And because I like to do hard things. And I figured I might as well use that art degree for something. I'm teaching computer science, for God's sake. I don't know what happened there. But another thing you can do is spend $5,000 on a really cool, badass custom character and banners and graphics and hardware. And that's okay too. If you want to spend that cash, people have done that and they've popped off because they knew people and those people boosted them. And, you know, it's whatever you want to choose to do. One thing that I find difficult is that it's very difficult for me to settle on just one identity. I like to cosplay my character, so I will draw my VTuber to match whatever game I'm playing. Not everybody draws their own character, so not everybody has the luxury to keep re-rigging their character over and over again. Although I think for me, it's been very good because it gave me the practice of learning how to get better and better and faster at rigging every single time so that I can eventually do commissions for people. This is what a goal for me is. And I have 2 people already that are probably on deck for that once I feel comfortable enough to do that. So that's something that is a future plan for me. But it's very difficult for me to be like, okay, this is who I am for sure. And I think that that's okay in some cases. Like there's VTubers that have pivoted a lot. Like I watched Snuffy. Snuffy started out as like a cute kawaii cat girl. And now she's like a busty raccoon woman. And she made this transition very gradually. She started out using a very squeaky voice. And now she uses her real voice. Or a lower voice at least. I think you can do that. I personally just stream with my real voice most of the time. I do stupid voices when I'm playing a game because you do. But yeah. Good things about being a VTuber. It is nice to be anonymous sometimes. I am not particularly shy about who I am in the real world. I don't mind people knowing my real name. But my real name is still on my Switch. I'm not that scared about it. But I think that there's a lot of people out there who do want to be anonymous and don't want people to know who they are and do like the comfort and safety that they get from being behind this mask of an avatar and not having to show their real face on stream. And I know a lot of people who are live streamers but have never gone cam on before because they were afraid to show their face on camera. And they said, you know what, I'm going to give this VTubing thing a try. I think it would be really cool to become a VTuber and see what that would be like for me. So I know a lot of people that are making that jump because they're like, I'm not scared anymore to be seen because I'm comfortable with this anonymity. You also get to choose who you are, which is intimidating, as I said pre-slide, but it's also really fun. Like, I can be whoever I want to be. I can be a rabbit. I can be a witch. I can be whatever. This is my Halloween skin. Because I can do whatever I want to do. Whenever I did horror streams, I had this other overlay, so I do kind of mix it up a little bit. And this is me as a woman speaking as a lady. I am going to say there's probably, and this is just me, and this is like a lot of people out there probably don't know this, but if you think about it, as a woman, when you go live, you're going to be scrutinized very, very heavily for your appearance compared to male streamers. It's just the way it is. It's just how it is. And because anytime I wanted to hit that go live button, I would have to do a full face of makeup. I would have to do my hair. I'd have to make sure my outfit was appropriate, didn't show too much cleavage, otherwise I'd be called a titty streamer. But on the other hand, this is my body and this is how I'm built, so what do you want to do there? I had all these choices I had to make about how do I present myself and what am I going to be scrutinized for. And is anybody going to watch my content, or are they just going to scrutinize my appearance? Are they going to care about how I look? VTubing? Scratch all that. Who gives a shit? I don't have to put on makeup anymore. I can draw my character as sexy and as hot as I want. And nobody's going to accuse me of doing that for clicks because it's a cartoon. And I personally have a busty character. I'm busty in real life. I didn't want my character to not represent me. But on the other hand, I was afraid to wear cute stuff a lot on stream. I wear cosplays on stream. Like for my birthday stream, like 2 years ago, live, I dressed up as a Little Mermaid. Didn't get flagged for it. Really fun. I was also 20 pounds lighter, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because you can be yourself. And I think for somebody who was afraid of receiving that scrutiny, especially since I'm over 30, right? It's freeing to be like, I'm just going to draw a picture. And I'm going to be whoever I want to be. As cute, as sexy, as serious as I want to be. And not care. It's only weird when my students find the stream. And that makes it a little weird, but that's okay. They're like, oh, all right. Nah, this is me. I would like to network with other people who are VTubing. I want to collab more. I want to do music. I want to do interviews. I want to draw cosplays, all of that. We decided earlier today, while we were at the bar, to set up a Discord so that instead of me giving you my contact info, you could grab it here. And we will chat if you are interested in VTubing, learning, collabs. I'm on the EN VTuber Discord, but it's just so loud and noisy. There's a couple like communities out there. There's an EN VTuber Discord. There's a like a HoloLive fans Discord. There's a Live 2D Discord specifically for Live 2D, for people who collab and get rigs and everything. Krabs has a Discord as well, which I'm sure you can share. Lots of resources there for VTubers. So if you can let all these things up, everybody has a Discord these days. I started to get into speedrunning, and now I'm on all these speedrunning Discords, and it's kind of a nightmare because there's no like game facts anymore. But I'd love to get your contact info, and instead of handing out cards, I think this is an easier way to do it. So if you're interested in connecting with about VTubing, I basically set up a thing. It's called Friends of MAGFest VTubers. And we might expand it to like East Coast collab VTubers, whatever, but I just wanted to like start that process today. So let me go into my tech demo setup for y'all, just so you can see what I do. You might do something different. I don't know. And I'm thinking we're probably going to have like 15 minutes for questions after I do that. Sorry, these guys are aliens from a cool cartoon. Oh, I'm wearing the shirt. This is my friend's Twitch channel. It's called the Ambiguity Program. He only streams on Sundays. That's what these guys are from. He is the creator of a comic called Rice Boy, and a mutual, I should say. I don't know. Friend is always tricky when you're online, but I really want to rep his program because it's a very cool show. So I'm wearing his shirt today. That's where these guys come from. These guys are my pals. So they're from an old cartoon. I forget the name of it now because I'm blanking. But I'm going to get my Lab 2D open. So I have used VTube Studio. And I'm going to not use the viewer. I'm going to go into the editor, actually. I don't have very much installed on this machine because she had to take on the road. Get in the Car Loser. It's a good game. It's free. You should play it. What? Yeah. Yeah, no, they go kill the Machine Lord. It's not, we're gonna start as the free version. I do have the pro version at home, but now the one thing about this laptop that's shitty is that it's so tiny-whiny on the screen. Let's get the VTube Studio up. I ran this demo earlier. I cannot flag the camera because, as you can tell, I have this on, which means I'm not going to have a full motion tracking on my face. And I'm going to leave this on because the safety for all of us. Oh, and by the way, you see my unactivated windows? I used to work at Microsoft, and this thing is trying to reach the Microsoft mothership to reactivate, and it can't anymore. So it is an activated Windows, but it doesn't know that it's an activated Windows. So sorry about that. I know it looks very janky. Every once in a while that pops up because it can't reach Microsoft VPN right now because I'm not on the internet. Because I didn't bother to log into the Wi-Fi. So then, although my Discord flagged, so I guess I am on the Wi-Fi. Maybe Halo or Tails 2? Well, it's not going to be reliable and I'm not going to rely on it. So this is my avatar. And this is what comes with the VTube Studio. Please, this one is kind of embarrassing. I don't know. She is. Yeah, she's got a button open. But as you can see, the fidelity you can get on these is pretty high. Since I draw my own, they're not quite as detailed. Although, like I said, I do cosplays, so when I'm streaming Metroid, which I do a lot, I have a Samus. Yeah, which I love, right? Yeah, she has to have abs. I don't think there's enough buff VTubers out there. Can we get some buff VTubers, please? Yeah. The ladies always have the noodle arms. I'm a power lifter, so I don't want to have noodle arms on my avatar. I want to have some biceps on my avatar, so that's why I have abs and stuff on her. But she's Samus, so she's allowed to have all that stuff. And then some of the ones that I use for Final Fantasy, which are, oops, no, cancel. Sorry, it's a little bit slow on this machine. This is what I've been using lately for Final Fantasy. Now you can draw, when you do these, you don't have to do full body. Those two that I have are full body. This is a half. This is quicker. But I really like the way this one turned out. And one thing you can do too is you can add like different facial expressions. So let's stick to that. That's gonna reload, sorry. Another thing that I find to be really useful is if you don't want to like do a full change, you can just recolor stuff because it's all a skin. So I'm gonna go into the folder and show you how this works. And this might just be like demystifying the process a little bit for people, because nowadays when I look at the commercial and like the big VTubers that are out there, I kind of try to figure out how they're put together. Because trying to figure out like how stuff is put together is just sort of how I've always learned everything that I've always learned in my life. And like, I'm just such a tinkerer and a hacker that everything I've ever worked with is like, yeah, I have so much stuff on here, sorry. I'm trying to find I actually knowing that I was going to be digging through the folder made a shortcut of the actual folder, and then I forgot that it was on the desktop. So this is the actual folder. This is the data that's in VTube Studio. If you're on Steam, you can dig into this folder here. And then this is all the avatars that I have. And this is also my stream reel. We can watch that a little bit later. A couple different stream reels. These are the PSDs. They're not going to open in Photoshop because it's not installed on this computer. But I will show you like how it works in Live2D. So I've got Live2D open here. If you take this PSD, it's a Photoshop file. I'm going to drag it into Live2D right now, and it's going to process. Sorry, it's so tiny. It's just the resolution on this monitor is kind of, but it's going to load. There we go. So let me just show you how this works. This is the actual model. You can see she has a bunch of stuff on her eyes. That's because she has emotion stickers. So when I'm actually in the model here, and I'll just use this one as an example. I did bring all of them, so they're all different like rigs, but I'll use this one as an example. If I go into my settings here, these are the setup for Android. For if you want to do iPhone, you can use your Android as your webcam, or you can use your iPhone. I use my webcam pretty much exclusively right now. And this is all the parameters on the model, okay? So here you can see physics. You gotta have those. You need to have physics. This is important. You have eye blinking, you have breathing, automatic breathing, you have the angles of the mouth, you have eye opening, etc., etc. And all these things are toggles you can switch. Now, this gets tracked on the camera. If I go into here, you can see the different emotions that I have. So I can run these different emotions and use these to like change the way the character emotes. And I've got a couple different ones in here. So I've got the hearts for the eyes. So if you look on this picture, you can see that there's hearts on the eyes. Well, that's actually a slider. So here you've got the slider, and it's very, very tiny. So sorry, it's hard to read. But if you get the slider, you can move the eyes and change their position and change their visibility. Oh, this is a raw Photoshop. It's not rigged. That's why I don't see the extra sliders. I'd rather Photoshop it. But here's the different, and if I could zoom in, let's get the magnifier. I'm a computer science teacher. I do this kind of crap all the time. So I'm gonna zoom in on this so you can see it a little better. Ooh, it's loud out there. What do they got going on out there? Somebody's personal soundtrack? There we go. So you can see if I hit this little button, it turns like the different stickers off and on. And that gives these different expressions. I don't know why my magnifier's not loading up, unfortunately. In here, if I set this to like, right now it's set to Control 7. Oh, there we go. Oh, of course. As soon as I click that, it switches to magnifier. There we go. Now you can see it more clearly. So here you can see the different stickers. You see the hearts, the eyes, etc. So on this, if I go over here and I click on like this visibility, it changes the eyes. So I can say I don't want the hearts. And then now they're gone. And I also have crying, because that was important, because I was playing Endwalker. Yeah, y'all know. So that's gone too. And I have blushing as well. So those are all different toggles that I can set. So if I, for example, want to have the heart eyes only appear sometimes, or we can do the crying even, I can say, I'm going to go down to these parameters here. I'm going to add this parameter. That's fine. We're going to call this crying, right? I'm literally doing this live because that's how I roll. And for a sticker like this, set it to 0, 1, like that. And this is your slider, okay? So now I take the visibility of that eye, of those tears. I'm going to say, I want these both to be visible. I'm going to turn them both on. Like that, that. And we're going to go into here where it says opacity. And we're going to go down here. So as somebody who has been an animator for a long time, I'm used to this kind of process. Basically, we're going to set a keyframe. And a keyframe is how we determine something keyed in the animator. Just like that. And now here, the eyes are opaque 0, 0, because I set them to 0. So I'll take this here and scroll like this. And I'll set it to 0 here. Make sure that gets set. And then that 1, we'll set it to 100 like that. So they're like that. And so now when you do the slider, it's going to cause the character to cry. And if I get out of magnifier, which I now have to remember how to do. Now I have the slider where the character can basically cry. I can go into the viewer and show that character in the viewer doing the cry animation, which should already be set here. I just got to change it to a different hotkey so you can see it. So right now it's Control Numpad. So we'll just set it to like 1. So now if I hit this, she should just cry. This will break my setup at home, but now she's sad. And you notice that what I do there is other little tweaks, okay? So like the little mouth that goes down and the eyebrows that go down, all those are on sliders, right? So that's how you would do like an emotion if you have a character that you want to have do things. And the model itself has a whole bunch of different parameters on it. So if you look at the final version, you can see the full body version here. I will open this up in Live 2D so you can see it. And we're open. This is the full body version. It's gonna be slow to load. So while I am getting this to load, we do have like 15 minutes and 12 minutes. Does anybody have Q&A? Yeah, go ahead. Uh-huh. Yes. They're all layers. So when you draw your character in Photoshop, you have to draw anything that would be hidden, you have to draw it. That's a very good question. So as an example here, like this blush here, she's behind. If you go to the mouth if I like hide the whole mouth, it's all in one group like this. You can see that there's still skin behind it, right? Because that has to be, if the mouth shifts or moves at any point, it has to still have skin behind it. And the eyelid, there's actually quite a bit of painting here. Because when the eye blinks, it's got to pull all that skin with it, so there's extra skin painted on top to make it pull down. So if I go to an eye, like, the eyes aren't grouped very well, but if I delete this, you can see how it's white behind like that. That's because it has to be, because if the eye moves, it's going to show the back, and you don't want anything behind it. So what you do is you draw the whole character, and then you go back and you fill in any gaps that are going to show up if anything shifts or moves. So if I take something like the ear here, you can see that it's drawn a little bit under, because you have to have it poked down. And in fact, you can see, like, see how this ponytail, how it's drawn all the way? That's because if it moves when I'm turning my head or it shifts, I have to be sure that the whole thing does not, like, have a gap in it. It's going to be weird. And you might even see this, even professional models, when they're not rigged right, you're going to see, like, weird little corners and stuff. So you have to draw the whole thing in layers, and everything is its own layer. And you're going to notice that there's little, like when you're doing a humanoid model, there's little tricks that you can use to make the 3D effect better. One of the things I usually do is a ponytail, because I think it's a little bit easier to do the rig for the head. But if you want to have like long layers of hair, you have to draw 3 or 4 layers of hair stacked on top of each other, or else you just lose that 3D effect. And you might even notice on certain models, they'll have like a headpiece or something. It's usually used to hide a seam. Because do you see how this arm here, I was lucky, this is a design from the game, I just literally redrew it. But this right here, if I were to have a gap like between the arm and there, you would see that seam when my arm shifts over. So when I do this model, for example, the Samus one, it's way harder to make it blend because her shoulders aren't covered. And it was a lot of fiddling to make the arm, like when it shifts, because you see how there's nothing on her shoulders there. So this whole thing, there's a hidden seam. And you have to hide that seam. There's also a seam here, which you can kind of see, but I did a little bit of blending to make it stick, but the bust has to move separately. So all these are seams, that's a seam, that's a seam. So everything has to be done in its own layer. And it's tons and tons of little layers of little details. Yeah, great question. Anybody else have questions? Yeah. You're saying you do? Yeah. Mimicomorph? I will say that yes, there are definitely monstrous VTubers out there. There's definitely weirder designs out there. There's definitely creepier stuff. I think a lot of people do go for the more traditional, like, friendly anime girl or friendly cartoon characters, just because that's the kind of what they think is appealing. And I think that one of the things that you might want to do to stand out is try something different. Because, I mean, if everybody's doing the same thing, maybe you want to do something different from what other people are doing. Now, is it harder to draw and rig? It's as hard to draw as you are good at drawing. Honestly, the more little details and stuff you have on the character, in some ways easier it is to rig, because even though it's a lot to draw, you can hide your mistakes more easily. If I go back to that slide where I have the witch outfit. Oh, I closed my slides. Let me fix that real quick. There's actually a dumb trick that I used on this that I'll show you, which is there's like a little jewel, like a little brooch. That was because I could not figure out how to hide the bust seam. And it was just a matter of drawing that little brooch on there, and that hid it. It's little things like that. It's gonna it's gonna help your design in smart ways, but it's also gonna make it easier for your character to look good. So don't be afraid to look at what else is out there. Yes, there's a lot of anime girls, but there's also a lot of other stuff. It's just a matter of your imagination. And Captain Krabs is a crab. He's not a person. So he's literally a crab. Yeah, it's super cute. So if I go back to the witch really quick, see this little brooch? I could not figure out how to hide the busting because this is just a reskin of the Samus. Where you see that it's the same top and I just redrew it. So it's the same exact top with the same thing, but that seam is a son of a bee to hide. So I basically just like drew that little brooch on there and it worked out perfectly. So little tricks like that, if you have little like design elements, a lot of VTubers you'll see they have earrings, and it's part of it is to sell the head turn, right? It's to sell the whole concept of their head moving from side to side, because this is fake. This is a total draw, it's a flat drawing. So when you see this head turn like this and you see something move, and a lot of times that's why they have something covering their ears as well, because if you see the space like between the ear and the head, it's the easiest way to lose the 3D illusion. And so one of the reasons there'll be like a lock of hair in front of it is to cover that space so that when that sways, you keep the 3D illusion. There's a lot of little tricks like that. I'm not saying that that's every single VTuber. People are very, very good artists out there. They're very clever riggers and they're very, very creative. But you start to see like similar design elements. And those are the design elements being used to like cover seams, cover mistakes, or just sell the 3D. Because if you see people with like really long hair that's down, way harder to draw than like ponytails or updos. Because the updos and stuff, they're gonna stay stiffer, easier to pretend that character's head's moving side to side in live 2D. So I know a lot about like design for live 2D at this point. I know less about design for 3D VTubers, but there's lots of really good resources out there. And if you want to chat, or if you're an indie VTuber, connect with me. This is my Twitter. This is my Twitch. I appreciate everybody coming out today. And I hope you guys all enjoy your MAGFest. I still have 5 minutes, so fire away at more questions, or let me know what else you want to know about. Yeah. Yeah, sure. That Discord is really locked down, by the way. We just don't want to avoid like any weirdnesses. So we're gonna let you like as you jump, we'll let you on, let you talk and stuff. We literally just made it at the bar like an hour ago, so yeah.
Did you do any streaming before VTubing? Did you see anything better out of VTuber versus?
Yes, I did stream before, and what I like best as a VTuber is that I can just go live. I do not have to put on a full face of makeup. Because honestly, before doing VTubing, I was really self-conscious about being on camera. I don't mind being in front of people. I cosplay, I don't mind people seeing my body. I'm not shy in that sense. But to put yourself out there on the internet to strangers is a whole other thing. And I felt like it's so much easier to just go ahead and go live with some stupid crap and not have to put on a full face of makeup. Because otherwise it's a whole like production. Like I want to draw today. Okay, well, I gotta spend 20 minutes in the back room. Or 5 seconds hitting that VTube avatar. That's what I like about it. It's easier. And I think even some women streamers who live stream with their face, like Pokimane, for example, has a VTuber avatar. Why do that? Sometimes you don't want to put on a full face of makeup. That's the reason. Now with dudes, a different ball game. Maybe you don't want to be judged for your appearance either. You know? I mean, everybody doesn't necessarily, sometimes you want to be somebody different, right? That's what I like about it. Now, what's more difficult about it is definitely like the avatar crashes sometimes, and sometimes it's janky. Like if I want to stream, like I did Ring Fit the other day. I mean, that's funny, but it's really janky with an avatar. It's funny with an avatar, but it looks wild. Like it doesn't look good, right? And part of it is like, I gotta rig this better. I gotta get better skills. But also part of it is that like, that might be easier without an avatar. So there's some bad things. But what I do like about it, I said, is it's very like pick up and do it. And my Twitch growth like hasn't changed in terms of how popular I am or a raid or whatever. Like it hasn't caused me to like surge in popularity or anything. I'm basically the same person I was before. People that come to my stream for my content know what they're getting. I speedrun, I play weird dating sims, and I like action games and Metroidvanias. So if you like any of that stuff, my stream might be fun. If you want different stuff, maybe I'm not your person, I don't know. I don't do FPSs, I don't do League of Legends. You know, I like games with story, and I am a developer, so I kind of scrutinize games from that perspective. Everybody has their niche. Almost out of time. Do you have one more? Yeah. Yeah, so that's a great question. I have seen a lot of tutorials online. I have joined the Live 2D Discord where they have a lot of people on there sharing resources, so that's a really good place to check. I started with the what are they called? The Forge, Iron Forge. The Brian Swee, who did like very basic beginner how to start rigging if you don't have any art skills. And he started from the very beginning, taking screenshots from an anime and rigging a VTuber from screenshots from an anime. And now he runs his own VTuber rigging company. And those tutorials are actually really, really good because he literally starts at the very beginning of his career and you see the stuff go, like, get better and better and better as he goes. And it gave me that confidence of like, oh, there's another VTuber on YouTube that I really like named Kira Omori. She's like a peach girl. And she does a lot of rigging demos. So I like her videos a lot too. I do have a background in animation, so making the jump to learning to rig in Live 2D wasn't super hard for me because I used to rig in Flash. And if you have any experience in Flash, it's rather similar. But if you don't have any experience in Flash, I say start with Iron Vertex. That's what they're called. I would look up Iron Vertex. They do tutorials. They also do commissions, and they're very, very expensive because they're very good at this point. But they're like a whole unit of people that do it. Yeah, and they're awesome. And Captain Krabs does tutorials too. So check out his channel. I know he's not going to do a rigging demo, but his stream he does them all the time. Anything else? No, we're out of time. It's 10 o'clock. Okay, thank you guys so much for coming.